Sahana Bhavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastuma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavatpadam Shankaram Lokashankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Krutau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah. Ishvaro Gururatmedi Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavad Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha. We started our discussion on living the present by recognizing the past, future, as well as present. All of these often deny us the living in the present. The past interferes with the present or dominates the present with the hurts and guilts that I've experienced in the past. As you said, in the process of my growth, I would have gone through various painful experiences when I would have felt that I was wronged, I was object of unfairness, injustice. That is my perception, that may or may not be true. And this has not been resolved, this has been all added up or built up in my mind. Because I think this is exactly how it is, and therefore those impressions have remained in me. And now those things, whenever become the object of memory, then I get disturbed. Because this injustice, unfairness creates in me a resentment towards whoever I think subjected me. I was victimized by that. And the resentment can cause anger and thus disturb my mind. So we have to resolve that. The hurt that is caused by being a victim of somebody's action, this causes resentment, anger towards that person, has to be neutralized by the Pratipaksha Bhavana, by deliberately entertaining contrary attitude, which is Kshama or forgiveness, or in Pujya Swami's words, accommodation. Meaning accepting the person as the person is. Gracefully accepting the person as the person is. Now, graceful acceptance doesn't cause any difficulty as long things are the way I want them to be. Then we do accept them gracefully. The prasad buddhi, as long as prasad is delicious, no problem. accepting it gracefully. When it is not delicious, when it is bitter, then I have difficulty in accepting prasad as prasad or with graceful acceptance. And so, kshama or forgiveness or accommodation becomes a very important value in every relationship. So, what does it mean by gracefully accepting the person who, in my opinion, victimized me? So, Puja Swami will point out that look at the person behind the behavior. The person's outward behavior is aggressive, dominating, hurtful. And therefore, it's quite understandable that I felt hurt. Meaning there was a valid reason for me to feel victimized, valid reason to feel hurt. Not that it was, at least from my perception. But two-step response. One-step response is to respond to the behavior of the person, which will be a reaction, the resentment, anger, and I will also react with anger and I will retaliate. That time perhaps I could not retaliate, I may retaliate now in my own mind, and my mind would be very agitated, disturbed. So, two-step response of responding to the person behind the behavior. Behavior is hurtful, aggressive, dominating. But who is the person who is behaving in this manner? Who is the person who is hurting me? The general rule is that must be himself or herself a hurt person. Only a hurt person can hurt somebody else. A happy person cannot hurt anybody. If you look at our own self, sometimes we also find ourselves doing things, saying things which are hurtful to others. When we get upset, when we get angry, frustrated, angry, then we say things, do things which are hurtful to others. And that frustration, anger arises from inner pain. Pain of frustration, pain of being hurt, pain of insult, etc. And so I have all the reason to accept that the person whose behavior hurt me must himself or herself be a hurt person. That means that person may have been hurt by someone else, not by me necessarily, by someone else. And not knowing how to deal with that hurt. It's only one example I remember every time I'd say this. Of a movie I saw many years ago called Inspector General. Many of you must have seen it. I don't remember the very famous actor. And he is a police officer and in the morning goes to his superior, offers his salutation. And God knows what happened to his superior, he just slapped him for no reason at all. So what can this person do? He cannot slap back. He comes out. He is subordinate, salutes him. He slaps him. This is how the movie was shown, This slap parampara goes on. Ultimately it comes to a person who cannot slap anybody. So he goes and slaps his wife, Meaning that you express your pain towards those who are vulnerable. This will not slap his boss. Even though he is hurt or in pain, he will only display the pain towards someone who is vulnerable. That's why in this world, vulnerable people are always hurt, tortured. But those who are supposedly strong, physically strong or otherwise strong, militarily strong, economically strong, intellectually strong, but if I look at my own behavior, I will find that whenever I have inadvertently hurt somebody, in my own mind that hurt has originated from some pain within myself, some hurt within myself. Not knowing how to deal with the hurt, I deal with the hurt by hurting others. That's what we do. And so someone who hurt me also would have gone through a similar process of not knowing what really his or her hurt has hurt me. And thus looking at the person behind the behavior. Behind the hurtful behavior, there is a person who is in pain. Person who is also hurt, who is in pain, and not knowing how to deal with that pain has behaved in this manner. If I can see this in my mind, that behind the aggressive behavior there is a painful person in pain, that's the two-step response. Now that two-step may not happen right away, but we will practice this. And if I see that pain, then that will arouse my sympathy. But genuine sympathy, not just lip service. In the beginning it may be lip service, but then if I really see the pain, that will arouse my sympathy. And a sympathetic person is going to be a kind person, not an aggressive person. So that is how the aggressiveness that arose in me, because of my resentment, my anger, therefore the aggressiveness or the revengefulness that arose in me, anger that arose in me, will be thus neutralized by kshama, forgiveness, accommodation, understanding. Understanding the person who behaves in a given way. And it will be easier to understand others when we understand ourselves. Because mostly the elements that are in other people are also in us. So if we understand ourselves, then we will see how pain makes me aggressive, makes me insensitive basically. When I get angry, I become insensitive to the vulnerability of others, to the weakness of others, to the sensitivity of others. Then I don't take into account their sentiments, and I behave in a hurtful manner. So kshama is a great value, and if I am not able to display that kshama or forgiveness at that time, then after the whole event is over and when my mind is quietened, then I can go back to that event. And then in the quietude of my mind, I can see my mind, the pain of that person, and I can practice it from a distance. Because when the heat of the things, it may be difficult for us to do that, but then when we create a distance, we can see that. And similarly, even without the hurt happening in my mind, I can go back to my past. And there may be one or two, a few people who may have hurt me, or in the present also. and deliberately and genuinely practice this kshama, which would arise from a genuine sympathy. These things should be genuine as we can make them to be. Then only it will help us. And so kshama is the antidote for resentment, anger, by a two-step response when I make my mind see the person behind the behavior. I can visualize myself in that position and see how I would have behaved. Then I can perhaps understand it better. So this was what was Swami said. If we understand ourselves well, we'll understand others also. Fairly well. Sometimes people ask, Swami, how do you know this? I say, if I know myself, then I know this also. So this is the hurt of the past or even of the present which disturbs our mind. When the mind is disturbed, we are not in present. Which is the mind that is in present? That enjoys composure. Free from agitations, free from reactions. That enjoys composure, tranquility. That's the mind in the present. And good thing is that we do not have to make any separate attempt to be happy, understand? A mind in the present is a happy mind. A mind that enjoys this quietude, tranquility, composure, peace is a happy mind. Mind that is restless. Lord Krishna says, Ashantasya kutas sukham. An ashanta, a person who is not shanta, who is not at peace, how can he be happy? So there Lord Krishna equates peace with happiness. We may equate happiness with some kind of an excitement. But otherwise Vedantins say that peace is equal to happiness. Peace, tranquility is happiness. Is an abiding happiness. That excitement comes and goes, but this one is happiness, a durable happiness. So one can look at the past and forgive all those people who have hurt me. Settle account. Also recognize that I had to go through pain in my life. Everybody has to. But the pain that I went through or I go through today or in future also is all the result of my own karma. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, the Ekadasha Skandha, there is a story of a bhikshu or a bhikshu is back at a sannyasi who was literally tortured by people. And something happened to him. And then this insight came to him that what I am going through is the result of my own karma. My past karma somehow makes these people behave the way they do. So they are also ultimately impelled by some impulse in them. Who plants that impulse in them because of which they behave this way? My karma. You can say Ishvara does it, but my karma does it. Because what other explanation can there be? Why does a thing happen the way it does? There is no explanation other than karma. Karma means what? Law of cause and effect. What happens is an effect. An effect must have a cause. And Karma is the cause. What we experience is called karma phala, the result of the action. And the cause of karma must be there. When did I do it, Swamiji? I don't know. But I don't remember having done anything in this birth. Maybe you have not. But we have gone through many births in the past. Who knows what this fellow is doing to me? He may be settling some account of what I have done to him. Who knows? We don't want to guesstimate, but the point is that has to be a reason. We need not worry about what karma, when karma, nothing, don't worry. All it means is that, or Swami would say that karma is a shock absorber. Because my immediate tendency to blame this person and retaliate against that person. But when I make my mind see that, and not only that person, my own karma also is involved, which impels this person to behave in this manner so that he becomes a nimitta or instrument or cause, so I have to experience the result of my karma. For me to experience pain, somebody has to become instrumental, isn't it? Either I fall down, break my legs, or somebody hits me and breaks my leg, whatever. I don't want this to happen to anybody, but what I'm saying is, so karma is an explanation. That doesn't mean that Swamiji, I'm like that, I must have done this karma. I don't have to blame ourselves or blame anybody. Karma is to remain free from blaming. That's called shock absorber. Otherwise I blame. I blame the person who has caused pain to me. When I bring in karma, which is true, my karma must have impelled the person to behave this way, that's why I went through this, and therefore he just becomes nimitta in order for me to experience my karma phala. And that is how things get resolved. Every day we do it, all our relationships also always call for it, because person says something, does something, and they don't always know what's going on in my mind, and they do, and I feel hurt, and I do something. So, Kshama is the most important value in every relationship and all the time. Gracefully accepting the person with their limitations. Why is it like that? That's how Bhagavan has made that person. Some people are skillful, some people are not skillful, some people are good, the people are what they are. They can do what they can do. And it must be Ishvara's scheme in some way that I'm placed where I am. If you can go a step further and give benefit of doubt, Shraddha to Ishvara, Shraddha. That he is my well-wisher, he has put me in this situation for my growth. These are all big, tall order, but if you can say that, which is true. Well, whatever is done by Ishvara, no doubt, in response to my karma, but what is done by Ishvara. And Ishvara is omniscient, omnipotent, is Purnamadaha, Purnamidam, is Purna, is complete, whole, that is called Ishvara. Whole means there is no lack, no want, no boundaries, no limitations. So by definition, Ishvara is the one who is free from lack or want, free from need. Ishvara is an ideal leader. A leader must be as much free from the need and personal agenda as possible. A leader identifies with a larger agenda and sets aside his own agenda. So Ishvara has no agenda. Why did he create the world without agenda? How can he do something without agenda? That's called Ishvara. Devasya svabhavayam. Atma kamasya ka swaha. Says Manduvika Karika, Devasya swabhava. This swabhava of the Deva, this self-effulgent Lord, that he just manifests like this. Why? That's it. That is his pleasure. Lokavattu Leela Kaivalyam. It is his Leela or Krida, if you want an explanation. Meaning that there is no answer to the question why. And so that is why graceful acceptance. If there is a reason, we don't know. Ishvara has no reason to do anything. Because he has no need. He has no want, no lack, no personal agenda. So whatever Ishvara does, he doesn't do out of his personal agenda. So kamayata bahusyam prajaya. Upanishad says, in the beginning of creation, so kamayata, Ishvara desired or willed. Bahusyam prajaya, may I become many, may I be born, as is universe. So this kind of a sankalpa or thought arose in the beginning of creation in the mind of Ishvara, that may I become many, meaning may appear as many. One, not becoming is not possible. Vedanta doesn't accept becoming at all, only appearance. Nothing can become something else. One cannot become many. Nothing can become something else. Rope cannot become snake, it can only appear as snake. All creation is like that. So Ishvara created, Ishvara became, Ishvara appeared. What created the first desire? The cumulative desires all the jivas has created. He doesn't have an agenda to fulfill agendas of the jivas. Thus, this understanding of Ishvara is very important in our life, because we can bring in Ishvara whenever and as much as possible. Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu mamanusvara yudhyacha. Lord says, Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu. Therefore, at all the times, mamanusvara, you remember. Yudhyacha, while you are doing your day-to-day activities, remember me. Who is he? Surudam sarvabhutanam jnatpamam shanti mruchyati. When we remember Ishvara, Surudha, Shanti comes immediately. Ishvara is Suhrit, well-wisher. Meaning that what is happening is an expression of well-wish, well-wishing on the part of Ishvara. Swami, he cannot be, he gave me a slap. How can be well-wisher? I don't know. But that is the Shraddha that bhaktas have. We don't have it, but if we begin, then someday we can cultivate that. It is difficult to maintain Shraddha in the face of painful situation. Unfortunately, human life is more or less painful. It's a matter of the variety type of pain, variety of things. But generally, and so it is karma. Ishvara is my well-wisher, and therefore my karma is manifest in this situation. And Ishvara's joy, if he has an agenda, his agenda is to help me. See, one who doesn't need help will reach out. So Ishvara is an ideal contributor. We can contribute when we are rich within. The extent to which we are rich, to that extent will automatically reach out. So in that sense, wise person and Ishvara are similar, that both of them are full. So what they do is nothing but an action of reaching out. So Ishvara is ideal contributor, and so also a wise person is ideal contributor, because no personal agenda. Therefore, this attitude will make us one. When we display this attitude, we are in a way animating whatever our goal is. We are transforming Rajas into Sattva. Rajas causes its reactions. When you bring this attitude, that's the attitude arising of sattva, or from fullness. So this karma becomes a shock absorber. It absorbs a shock of reaction. Shock may remain somewhat, doesn't absorb totally. Shock absorber doesn't absorb all the shock, but then still it prevents a damage. So this karma also will not absorb all the shock, but will prevent the damage. I can recover. And therefore, being victim to other people's action is a very common thing. Because people do not know how to deal with their own pain and therefore they cause pain to others. So that is the hurt, which when comes I go to the past and go through the similar experiences. There is the counterpart is guilt. I hurt others. And a sensitive person will feel guilty. Not everybody feels guilty. A human being has been given that sensitivity. Therefore we feel guilt. Animals do not feel hurt or guilt, either of them. They have not evolved to a point where they can enjoy that sensitivity. So actually hurt and guilt are the gifts that Ishvara has given us, which Ishvara has not given to other creatures. So they can't grow. Although hurt and guilt cause all the pain in our life. But if that pain is properly managed or dealt with, utilized, that pain is meant for our growth. What growth? Emotional growth, spiritual growth. All doctors will tell us that pain is what draws our attention to where something has been violated. When we violate an order, then pain will come. And so they cook delicious food, and therefore very often I find myself crossing the boundaries. Then after 1 or 2 hours, also, overnight and things like that, things happen in stomach. Can't get proper sleep. Acid reflux is there. Nausea is there. Why? I abused. I violated the order. So that pain happens. To tell me, hey Swami, you violated the order. Meaning pain is meant to draw our attention to what needs to be corrected. So hurt and guilt both are pain. It's a special gift given by Ishvara to human beings, because cat doesn't have hurt or guilt. A dog doesn't have. A cat will jump on a mouse and make it its breakfast or dinner or whatever it is and then walk away. There's no compunction at all. Nothing happens. If cat felt guilty, then next time cat cannot kill a mouse, then it will go hungry, it will die. Because that's the only way they can survive, is by making other creatures their food. And that process, if that creature felt guilty, mouse, no, I can't. I should not do to mouse what I don't want mouse to do to me, and therefore, no, I don't want mouse to kill me. I cannot kill. Then it will die. So that part is not given. Cat knows how it should be treated. That mouse should not hurt me. Nobody should hurt me. The cat does not know. The mouse also wants me to not hurt. That it doesn't know. So cat has no difficulty in hurting the mouse. That's how the nature goes, otherwise it will all stop. But we are an exception. You are given this two-way sensitivity. I know what other people should not do to me, and I know that they also expect a similar treatment from me, which cats and dogs don't know, but I know. Therefore guilt is there. They don't have any guilt. They don't know hurt also. Hurt comes from all this pride or ego. Mostly it is ego that is hurt. Cats, dogs don't have any ego. You hit them with a stick and it may feel pain and but then forget it and go about with its business. It's nice, isn't it? No pain. They don't have stresses, no pain, no emotional problems at all. They are vimuktaha, they are liberated. Well, they are not bound, put it this way. They are called liberated, in Sanskrit they are called vimuktaha. But vimuktaha means liberated, those who are bound and liberated. These fellows are not bound at all. Let them become human beings, then they will know what bondage is. So, then we have to be liberated. First, impose bondage on you, and then you have to liberate. Why, Swami? Because Ishvara has to give you some work to do. Otherwise, should he give you birth? Why are you born? For this purpose. So, we are sensitive people. Of course, the sensitivity also is in degrees. There are some people who don't feel anything, there are some people who feel every little thing. Some are so touchy that you have to be very careful in interacting with them. You just don't know when will they get hurt. But a sensitive person will feel guilty and will feel hurt. So, I wind up doing things which inadvertently I hurt others, then I have to seek pardon of that person. I'm sorry. That's a tough thing to do. To say sorry is not easy at all. I'm not saying go around and keep saying sorry, sorry, etc. But that's the only way to help the other person become free from the sense of hurt that they have felt on account of me, that I'm sorry. I did not mean to do that. Or I was wrong in doing that. If you can show, that requires an inner strength to say that. That's the right thing to do. Convenient thing is to turn away and leave it unaddressed. Don't address this thing, they all pile up. And therefore, ideally, we should address it. Pratipaksha bhavana. When there is a stain on my, garment, right away I should clean it. If I allow it to build up, then it will be it's difficult to remove it. So this story of this man who comes to sage, I think, Namadeva, or sage Ekanath. And this Mahatmaji, you are so at peace, so tranquil, so at peace, no worries, no anxieties. How do you do that? I'm constantly stressed out. So the saint tells him that I'll tell you the way. Right now I see on your forehead some lines which tell me that on the seventh day you're going to die. In fact, you should never tell this to anybody, but then anyways, you're going to die on the seventh day. That fellow did not wait for a second also to ask any further question, he left. On the seventh day, the saint went to that person. He was lying in his bed. But his face was all calm and tranquil. Says, hey, you seem to be very calm right now. When you came to me a week ago, you were so much stressed out, agitated. So what happened? How come now you are so calm and tranquil? Says, sir, you told me that I'm going to die on the 7th day. I came and thought, I'm going to die. Then I realized that, why worry about, let us settle all accounts. So many people have hurt me. I forgave all of them. I'd hurt many people. I went and sought pardon from them. Now there is no worry left in me. No anxiety, no hurt, no pain left in me. That's all. This is the way to become calm and tranquil. And so, the seeking pardon, all of this should be done wisely, understand. Whenever any value is to be practiced, it must be practiced wisely. What is the way to, what is the interpretation, how to practice that value in this situation, and what's the wise way of doing? But that's how the past is a big thing. Hurt and guilt. And future, of course, is also a problem for us, as we said, anxiety. Fears and anxieties about future are going to be there. Because there are fears in me. Fear of death is one fear. Fear of failure is another fear. Fear of insult, another fear. Fear of censure, another fear. So mostly it's ego that has these fears. And ego doesn't want to be blamed, doesn't want to be insulted, doesn't want to be rejected, doesn't want to fail, always wants to be successful, always wants to be right. And then only I'm comfortable with myself. And I know that there is no way that I can assure that these things will happen. That I will succeed, I will be right, I will be all right. There is no way for me to assure. Future is uncertain. That's how Ishvara has made it. Swami, how nice would it be if I knew everything in the future? I don't know. Because it will be more miserable. I know what's all going to happen. I'm going to fall down third day, going to have fear fifth day. I don't think that's a good idea to know what's going to happen in future. People ask, Swamiji, how can you say I had past birth? If I had past birth, how come I don't remember anything? I said, that's, it's a blessing that we don't remember. Now, nice if I remember what was in the past birth. If there is not one past birth, then that past birth, then the past birth. How many past births will you remember? You go crazy. And what all was I in past, who knows? I mean, donkey at some time or monkey at some other. We do not know what we were in the past. So when we depart from this body, memory is gone here. Some people seem to carry forward some memories, but generally we are happy, they don't remember anything. It is good that I don't know what's going to be in future. But at the same time, because I do not know, I want to know, that's the thing. I want to be sure as to what will happen. And uncertainty of the future. Uncertainty of success. Uncertainty of honor. Uncertainty of praise. Uncertainty of what I want. And I'm not willing to face the unpleasant. I know that future can bring both pleasant as well as unpleasant. Pleasant I don't mind, but unpleasant I do not want. And that's what causes anxiety. What if, what if, what if, what if? So again, is all karma phala. What will come in future is karma phala. At any moment, whatever I am confronting is the result of my action. This is all my karma phala and I am your karma phala. If you get something out of this class, karma phala. You get nothing, karma phala. You get bored, karma phala. Your karma phala, my karma. It's difficult to determine whose karma phala it is. It's a complex thing, really. Karma phala is not a simple thing. Karma phala is that's all we can say. Whose karma? I mean, it's a joint karma. There's so many questions are there. I don't bother about them, but people ask them. When an accident happens and X number of people die, whose karma phala? Karma, it's a joint karma, one karma. And somebody, was driving drunk, driving his karma, that was karma. It's difficult to determine. Karma phala, that's all we can say. And so whatever will happen in future will be karma phala. And willingness to accept, what is it? Prasada buddhi. Ishvara will give me karma phala, and therefore, knowing that he is my well-wisher, even if he gives me pain, that is going to be for my growth. There is no pain, no gain. So, with that kind of a confidence or trust, being ready to gracefully accept what comes. That is what will deal with the anxiety. Whatever happens, that doesn't mean that we are careless or we are, not that. We are wise. We understand that I don't control everything. Karmanyavadikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana. You can control the karma, you cannot control the karma phala. In every situation there is something that I control, something that I don't control. At the most I can control what I am going to talk. That also sometimes you don't control. Sometimes talk happens. I don't know, Swami, my mind is like that, I just say things. So similarly, future is something that I don't control. That is how life is, and that's how it should be. All certainty, I think, will take away all excitement from life, And nobody will go to any competition, because I know I'm going to lose. Olympics will have nobody, because I know I'm going to lose. So why should I go? But if everybody goes there because there is a hope that I will win. So in that way, uncertainty is a blessing, if you look at it. But uncertainty can cause stress also, because I am not ready for failure. If I am ready, then it is okay. So being ready for the unpleasant. Our Swami used to say, we should teach our children. Unpleasantness also is a reality of life. We should teach ourselves, of course, but then the unpleasantness also is a reality. Unpleasantness may be in many ways, at the physical level, emotional level, intellectual level, ego level. But a bhakta, this is the attitude of a bhakta or devotee, who has shraddha or trust in Ishvara. That is my well-wisher, and therefore whatever he gives me will be for my well-being. I may not know in what way, but I am sure that that's how Ishvara is. Shraddha. So future can be uncertainty dealt with Shraddha in Ishvara. And more genuine Shraddha I have, more than anxiety free I will be. So anxiety of the future can be, it is all dealt with by willingness to accept what comes. With an understanding or with a trust that what comes is given by Ishvara. And that Ishvara is my well-wisher. We can always pray, of course, and ask Ishvara to give something pleasant. That freedom we have. But then what the outcome of the prayer will be also we do not know. Prayer is also a karma, and karma phala is always uncertain. That is how things are. Ma phaleshu kadachana, Arjuna, you do not control karma phala, meaning it is uncertain. I control it, Lord Krishna says. Let it be that way. But if I have trust in Ishvara that he is my well-wisher, he is my coach, like a sculptor, he is my coach. And the coach, his job is to train this rookie, or train, So he is my coach. Singles tennis, he is on the other court, I am on this court, and he is there to coach me. I make one stroke, perform karma. He returns stroke, karma phala. Another karma phala. Sometimes the coach is kind and therefore he will give you the ball where you are, so you have to, I know, I could return it. Make you happy. But if that's how a coach does, then this fellow will never grow. So if you are on this side of the court, he will throw ball, and you make you run around. Come on, don't do that. But that otherwise there is no training. So if this person has a trust that is my coach, and wishes well of me, he's not punishing me. Now we can say that he's punishing me. If I look upon the other person as a coach, then I don't call it punishment, I call it training. So what's the role of Ishvara in our life? Look upon his coach, then whatever he parcels out to me is meant to train me. And training can come only with pain, otherwise not. All kinds of therapies, etc., a lot of pain. Well, weight, you lift like that, you can't do it. You have to do that, then only joint will become stronger. So emotional pain. But this is attitude that a bhakta has. Our trust in Ishvara will be shaken up now and then because, there is a limit to the extent to which I can accept that, and it will happen. So that's how anxieties of the future. And present also has its own problems. Raga dvesha are the problems of the present. So in present also I am not in present. When I confront anything in the present also, I don't confront things as they are. When I interact with you, I don't interact with you as you are. I interact with you as I perceive you. There is Ishvara Srishti and Jiva Srishti. Ishvara Srishti, Ishvara has created this universe of names and forms and, variety of beings. So that's what creation is, variety, diversity. That is Ishvara Srishti. And if I live in Ishvara Srishti, then what will be my vision, perception? Is all Ishvara. That's what the reality is. That's not my perception because upon that I superimpose Jiva Srishti, my own perceptions. Result of my raga and dvesha. Because meaning that I divide the world as those who are because I am a seeker of happiness. I am a needy person. I need happiness, security. And therefore I look upon some as source of happiness or security, others as threatening my happiness. This is how the mind works. So those whom the mind looks upon as a source of happiness or security, naturally there is one kind of feeling for them. And others who looked upon as threatening, a threat to my happiness, security, I looked upon in a different way. But this is how the mind does. If the whole world is one kind, then you can deal with it. Don't trust anybody. There's fear everywhere. Then you will somehow deal with it. But there is happiness here, unhappiness there. This is a problem. Mind is subjected to these pairs of opposites. If you are subjected to one thing, just pain, 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 then you will get used to it. People live in such discomfort, and they get used to that. For us who are living in comfort, one day the water supply is stopped, you just don't know what to do, how to deal with it. What one day, even for 1 hour? There are people who get water supply once in 6 days, As I said, if something is consistently happening and painful thing also we can deal with, but now pain and then pleasure, this is a problem. In the Naraka, in the hell, this is what they do. They say, they fry you in a big cauldron and then sprinkle some ambrosia and again fry you. So this is what wears out. A metal gets worn out, when it's subjected to these kind of things. Heat and cold, heat and cold, heat and cold, or stress and strain, stress and strain. And that is why in the present also the mind does not enjoy poise or peace. Because moment I look at this, some feeling arises. Watch out. I look there, good. So one, I say security or insecurity or happiness, unhappiness, something arises. Meaning that whenever I relate to anything, some feeling arises in me. Raga or dvesha. There are others for no feeling also is there. It's called audasinyam. Therefore this table I have no problem, nothing, doesn't invoke any raga dvesha. But it can also. Understand? Anything has a possibility of invoking raga dvesha in some given situation. Rock I have no problem, but that also if I am walking in, not carefully, then if I hurt, it can hurt me. Then can become the object of my dvesha. So this is, don't look, my own insecurities, my own lack and want makes me project things upon others, and so I look upon them as either a source of happiness or unhappiness. This is how human mind is. So I cannot be at peace with anything, because even when there is a raga, that also is lack of peace, understand? And dvesha of course is agitation, but raga also is agitation. Harsha is agitation, shoka also is agitation. When mind is agitated, I am not with myself. It gets distracted from the center, which is the self. And so, how to deal with raga dvesha? By Ishvara drishti. What is Ishvara? Says Upanishad, Sarvam khalvidam brahma tad jalanati shanta upasita. Sarvam khalvidam brahma. Idam sarvam brahma. All of this is Brahma, Ishvara. What's the nature of Brahma? Tad jalan. From Ishvara everything emerged, by Ishvara it is all sustained, and to Ishvara it will emerge back, and so what is manifested from Ishvara? Shanta, moment we see this, mind will become Shanta. Because what I look upon as source of happiness also is Ishvara, everything is Ishvara. Difference only in name and form, but the content is Ishvara. Even though all the ornaments are of different name and form, but when I shift the attention to gold, then my mind has equality, sameness of the mind. Pay attention to the names and forms, mind cannot be same, but to the content, then sameness of the mind. Nityam cha samachittatvam ishta nishtopapattishu. Ishta anishta upattishu. Ishta, desirable. Anishta, undesirable. Upavatti. When they present themselves before us, and that is how Bhagavan has made it again. Ishvara has some kind of plan for us. All the time we confront only dvandva. Ishta, anishta. Desirable, undesirable. Favorable, unfavorable. But I brand them that way also, even if they are or not. My mind will brand favorable, unfavorable, desirable, undesirable. And then react. So don't brand. What is it? Ishvara, 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 Ishvara. Tat jalani shantopasita. Meaning that when we shift our attention from the names and forms of the ornament to the content of the ornament, then all ornaments are the same. They are not different. Similarly, all names and forms are nothing but manifestations of Ishvara. Where is Ishvara here, Swami? Is there as existence, asti, bhati, priyam? What is harmony better than that? As harmony, as order, as fairness, as goodness. That's the content of everything. Very Swami, goodness, this fellow, he is a criminal, but the content is goodness. Out of name and form is all these kind of attributes. Ishta, anishta is all in their name and form, in the vesha, in the costume. Inside, there is Purusha wearing the costume of Prakriti. Purusha means Paramatma. So thus this ragadvesha, or this reaction that arises in our mind, on account of giving reality to dissimilarities or variety or, to diversity and disparity. Samam sarveshu bhuteshu tishtantam parameshwaram. In all the beings, the Parameshwara is the same Parameshwara seated there. Vidya vinaya sampanne brahmane gavi hastini shunicheva swapakecha. Lord Krishna says, in a pious brahmana, in a cow, in an elephant, in a dog, and this same Bhagavan is there. I don't see it, but make it. I mean, just believe, pretend that you see. All these values are started that way. Ragadveshas are there on account of giving reality to the disparity or diversity, and it can be slowly, mind will settle down when it sees what is the sameness in everything. Ultimately, what is the sameness there is the sameness I. That is the ultimate thing. Ultimately, living in the present. And therefore, all of this that we discuss gives us tranquility, peace, being with ourselves. As you said, what is present is nothing but the self. So, living in the present, effectively making the mind free from the effect of past, future, present. That is the agenda that we have. Ishvara has created whatever he has created. for us in our life has this purpose. In Puja Swami's word, this will call the emotional growth or spiritual growth. Other things are all secondary. Dharma, artha, kama, all of these are secondary. Even you have to live your life, and so you have to do, you need those things, and so engage yourself in those activities, that's all right. But basic activity is this. Primary agenda is this for human being, which is moksha, or this is a means of that. So with that we conclude our discussion on living in the present, and pray for everybody, including myself, that what all we discussed, comes to our life, and we really, that is really how to enjoy life. We can enjoy anything at any moment provided we have that frame of mind. And more we possess that frame of mind, more things become enjoyable because you are enjoyable. And this mind enables me to enjoy myself, basically. And therefore I enjoy anything else. And a lot can be said, but we have said some of the basic things, the important things during this session. The whole teaching of Vedanta is only this. Bhagavad Gita in particular. So Ishvara will bless everybody, so that what we have learned in these 3 days, we are able to recollect, try to put into practice, assimilate that, benefit from it. That's called living. So I used to ask again, what is living? Is breathing living? No. That you are doing even when you are asleep also, or in coma also a person breathes. So breathing cannot be living. What is the purpose of living? Purpose of living is to learn and grow. And so as we learn the basic realities of life and try to implement in our life, that's how we grow. So growing is the purpose of life. And we cannot bypass that process. You can postpone the future, but today you will do it someday, because until this process is over and reaches its pinnacle, until then, this is not going to stop. And so, to grow is the purpose of the human life. And it will be called art of living, intelligent living, to convert every situation as an occasion to grow. So with that we conclude this discussion. Om Purnamadaঃ Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Krutau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah. Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavadvyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.